The next speaker, here we go. She's the founder and CEO of Coastal Kapital. She's made appearances in NASDAQ, Bloomberg, Fox Business, and more. Spoken at events like Think and Grow Rich and Money Forum Live. Have you guys ever heard of those events? Yeah, so we got an expert up in here. So I want you guys to help me welcome, but before we welcome, let's stand up. Let's stand up, because everybody's already looking at their phone. Stand up. Let's get some energy and help me welcome Kortney with a K. Let's get some energy.
Now let's welcome the CEO of Coastal Kapital.
One of my favorite female business leaders,
Kortney Murray.
is a self-made female force to be reckoned with.
I'm not here to talk about my business today. I'm here to talk about all of you. I want to talk about the pillars that led me to a successful business after 2 failed entrepreneurships. And I want to teach you the different tools to get you to bridge the gap as you try to grow your business. Welcome to the moment. Thank you all for showing up for yourselves today. I am so thankful to be here. I'm going to actually start off with a little story. I am the CEO and founder of Coastal Kapital, which is an equipment finance company, but I did not get there from my first entrepreneurial success. I call my story Making My Chaos into Capital, and of course with a K. My name was supposed to be Abdul because I am from a very big Lebanese family. But I ended up, I feel like, scoring on my names here. When I was young, I always followed in my father's footsteps. He was an entrepreneur, he was an attorney, and when we were young, he always taught us hard work, grit, ambition. That's what gets you through life, right? But my dad was a firm believer in using cash. If you don't have money, then you don't buy it. And so we grew up in that mentality. You work, you have $1, you spend the dollar, and then you work again. So I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. In 7th grade, I signed up for shop class because I thought I was going to learn how to go shopping. I did not know it was woodworking, and this is a true story. And so I knew at that time that I would love to go into fashion. And it was about a couple years after college. I started college, and I ended up selling cars after college. I ended up being a born salesperson. And then I ended up selling heavy equipment. I did some door-to-door sales. Everything was just a mediocre means to an end, but it did teach me the grit, the ambition, and the perseverance that my father always taught me. And so he was a big influence in my life. My father passed away in 2015, so that's someone who is over me today, watching all of you, watching all of us, because I want to teach you guys about business finance. So to go on, the story is that after I did all of these things in sales, I was walking. I was in, how many of you here are in mortgage, real estate? Any hands here? Okay. Do any of you remember the subprime days? Okay, so when it was subprime mortgage, I was in the wholesale side. So I would go to each broker and find out if they'd like to send their deals over to us. And there was a clothing store on the Coast Highway in San Diego. And I walked in, it was called the Coastal Kapital, and there was a woman in there who she was 9 months pregnant. And I said, this has always been my dream to own a clothing store. She said, will you please buy it from me? And I said, yes, but I had no money at the time. I had a little bit of money. What am I gonna buy the store for? And I don't have any idea how to run a cash register, but I knew how to make people look beautiful. Grit, ambition, all of those things that I'm taught, right? So I scrounged through whatever I had, and I bought the store. Then I realized, where am I supposed to shop? So I went to TJ Maxx, and I started marking things up and making this one of a kind until I started making a profit and realizing, asking, finding out where I could find the information to go start merchandising my store. Cash is king, right? That's what I was told. So I used all of my capital. I bought a sign outside that cost me almost $15,000. I bought high-end clothing because I thought that that would make me the most money. Little did I know that they send you 12 pieces of clothing, and some of them don't sell, so then you have to mark them down. So, you know, I'm in California. I'm in a place that used to be an old surf shaping place right on the beach. I always said the termites were holding hands because I could not get this place insured for the life of me. And the California fires started happening. And when the fires started coming down, about 3 years in, the smoke came in and they ruined almost every single one of the clothing in the store. And what I realized at the time is I had no capital to replace this clothing. I had no one to help me because I was in my 20s. I had not established credit. And my father said, well, you know, you have to start establishing credit. You can get a credit card, whatnot. What that did is dig me a little bit deeper. And so I ended up closing the store and going to work for an equipment finance company, which I had no idea this would be the passion for the rest of my life. What I learned in this, sorry, I'm not used to a PowerPoint. This is it. What I learned in this equipment finance company is that there are ways to utilize cash, but other people's money. You can actually not commingle your personal and business credit. And I had no idea that that was a thing. You know, I learned the hard way. And so my mission is really to teach every single entrepreneur that there are ways and means to get money to help finance your business without having to undercapitalize yourself, without having to give away equity, things I didn't know. So at this time, I've ruined my credit, and I had to write letters to the credit agencies. This took years to get me out of this. Again, perseverance, grit, all of these things, right? So as I started with this other company, I realized this is absolutely epic. I could have financed my sign outside. I could have financed all of the racking inside my store. I could have had terms with my vendors that would have made it so much more lucrative. I always go back to the fact that, would you pay for an employee before they started working for you? Anyone? Would you give them upfront whatever you pay them for the year? Okay. So why would you pay for equipment before it starts making money for you, right? Why do that? You have a depreciating item. $1 now is more than $1 tomorrow. So I want to teach you guys about opportunity cost. And I'm going to just apologize right now. I am not good with the PowerPoint. And so I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so anyhow, the means to what I want to teach today is I'm really an educator on the right type of money. So it doesn't mean bank financing isn't right. It doesn't mean that other people's money, if it's an investor, is not right. But I feel like every single day in my life, I work with every single type of entrepreneur you could expect to come out. I mean, you're looking at heavy equipment to people owning tanning companies, or, I mean, you name it. We've done some financing for Steven Seagal for a cellulite bike. I mean, you name it. We see people come in, they believe in an entrepreneurship, they buy something, and they ended up financing it over time. Well, one of the other mistakes that we see happen quite often is that people come in and they want 0% in a $500,000 piece of equipment that they can't afford. Let's think of a John Deere, a tractor, maybe logging company. They're going in, they want to buy this beautiful piece of equipment because it's new, it's big. They think everybody's going to love it. It's going to bring them income. But what they don't realize is that 0% interest is something that was too expensive in the first place, and they should have looked at growing slowly. And so we really want every single entrepreneur to know that they can grow within their means, and there's advocates out there to do it. If you have something that you want to start, you have people who can assist you. And what business financing does is it starts building business credit. You don't commingle your personal credit. So if you are going to buy a home, if you are going to refinance, or you need to buy a vehicle or something, it doesn't show the debt to income on your personal credit. There are tax deductions out there, and I know that one of our sponsors here knows a lot about that. But there are a lot of tax deductions that come along with business finance. And so my story, as I was growing up and realizing these things, I was a 2-time failed entrepreneur before I was successful. And, as we get into, sorry guys. This is how great I am at PowerPoints. I do have to laugh at myself a little bit. But I want you to know also, entrepreneurs, the reason I like to say finance or use other people's money or don't have such a large cash outlay is that when you're an entrepreneur or a CEO or you have any sort of idea, cash is king. That is a true statement. If you don't have cash in your pocket or cash flow, then you're not going to be able to invest in other opportunities. Now, how many of you have had an opportunity come up in front of you and you haven't had the cash? I know I have. And that's because I have used it for something that hadn't started paying for itself. And so, creating wealth, not income, is opportunity cost. And I truly, truly love this story. So do any of you know Brian Johnson, the entrepreneur? He sold his payment plan to PayPal at 18 years old for $800 million. Anyone of you know him? So when I did door-to-door sales, I did merchant processing. And so we would go door-to-door and see if they would like to switch their merchant processing. And no one understood their merchant processing accounts. And so when I would walk into the store, I would tell them what they were saving, and I didn't even understand it. And I thought, I'm really good at this. I can get people to turn around their merchant processing. Well, Brian Johnson did the same thing I did. He's my age. But he realized no one understood their payment processing accounts. So he created a solution. He created generational wealth, which I think is absolutely awesome because I knew that there was a problem, but I didn't create a solution for the problem. And so he went ahead and ended up selling to PayPal for $800 million at 18 years old. And so if you ever have a chance to watch his story, he's an interesting character, but I love his story because it could be any one of you in this room. Any one of us could create a solution, right? So I always say a solution to the problem, and I don't like to use negative words, but a problem is something that we all solve. So the reason businesses are formed is because we're creating a solution for a problem that's out there. Insurance. You have to have insurance to be covered in case something happens. I created a company of equipment finance so someone could come to us and not use their personal credit. We have businesses out there who have health and wealth. I mean, we have everything out there. If you find a solution to the problem and you believe in your solution and you can find to pitch within 15 seconds your product and you really understand the concept, you can start creating a team with your vision. I believe truly that working with the right people and educating your employees is the most valuable thing you'll ever do in business. How many of you believe that? So when you take care of your employees, they take care of you, right? We call our employees team. And so instead of continuing to grow our business with cash, instead of hiring more salespeople with cash, we invest our time and our money into our employees, into people who coach them, into events like this. We want them to feel like we do as entrepreneurs, not the stress part of it, but we want them to feel great. We want them to be able to explore the same mission, and we want them to understand. So it's really, really important to create, again, opportunity cost is one of the pillars I like to talk about. Again, back to the John Deere tractor, $1 today is always more than $1 tomorrow. Keep your cash so you can put it into any type of real estate, put it into real estate. You have all sorts of different investments and use other people's money. There are also opportunities for entrepreneurs to fundraise. There's so many things that you can do out there without giving away equity. It's something that I find so important. And so my passion has really come into this business because I have seen entrepreneurs from a 500 credit score, but they believed in their business. They had cash flowing into their business. We took a chance on them. We helped educate them. Our credit box was built in the 50s. Everything else, technology, it's always reinventing itself, right? Why is our credit box still in the 50s? 1958, Fair Isaac was formed. I don't believe any one of you feel like you fit into a credit score criteria. Entrepreneurs, CEOs, you're all out there doing the work. Sometimes things happen in life. Sometimes challenges happen in life. And that's why we have to build a story. And so there are people out there that will help with story time lending. They can help you say yes when other people say no. And so the education on business finance is so important to me to be able to always discuss with you, because I want all of you to know that you have a chance. And I don't know how many of you already own your own businesses, but I know you're all here showing up for yourself, and I think that's super important. I always say start slow. Has anyone ever bought something that they had buyer's remorse? Because you bought or paid for something a little too much, and then you're figuring out, how am I going to pay for that? How am I going to pay for that item? How am I going to pay for that bag? How am I going to pay for those shoes? One thing I always had was shoes when I was broke. It's the one thing I wouldn't give up. So I worked for those shoes. But I do believe that it's so important that, we all have the ability to create a career and wealth instead of just a job. And if you invest your time and the opportunity cost into your employees, then you're always going to create a career. You're always going to create a career. One of the things I've learned, mostly through having outside coaching and people coming in and mentors and people with collaboration, is that there's always something that an employee has that you never knew because you didn't know what type of personality they had. You didn't know where their gifts were. You didn't know how they like to be rewarded. And so I think that putting money into your employees is one of the most important things you can possibly do. And so, this year we opened up a line trying to help assist some of those non-tangible item costs, trying to do things like if you want to create a coaching program, we want to be able to assist in the coaching program. That's not tangible. It's not something a bank wants to do. But why create a cash outlay when you can use that cash as king? So there's opportunities to do those things. Again, PowerPoint. Are you guys having fun yet? Let's just start there. And thank you for showing up, all of you, for the first speakers, because I know that this is early. I heard it's early in El Paso. I don't know. I've only had one day here. But thank you again for coming. Okay, this is something I really believe in, too. Brand equity. So I'm going to tell you another little story here. I'm 47, so when I was 40 years old, I had 5 best girlfriends from college, and at 39 years old, I lost my father, and then I ended up, there was a lot of tragedy that happened. I had one of my best friend's daughters was killed on her bike. The same year, my girlfriend died of breast cancer, and the same year, my other girlfriend lost her husband with 4 children. And I focused my whole life at that point into diving in to help them. We were meeting each other at funerals instead of, events every year. And at this point, I decided I'm going to hide behind a screen for a little bit and grow my company. And so I took my company home, still equipment finance, And at the time, I personally, I'm just going to tell you my true story. I mean, I gained weight. I felt horrible about myself. I was depressed. But I kept thinking, I'm the one who beat this. I beat this. I'm not depressed. I'm diving into my business. And it just takes me so long all day to do this position, do this job, you know? I wasn't taking time for myself. And so this last year, actually it was a little over 2 years ago now, I started writing a book with 23 other women entrepreneurs. First time I ever got on stage. It was so exciting. I came out and realized that I had a voice and that I could help people. And one of the things that I think Ruben was so attractive about this conference for me is that every single person who put this on cares about other people. And I realized that the more you give in life, the more you educate, the more you give of yourself, you're always going to win if you give. You will always win. Don't worry, God has you. So you do not have to worry if you give. It was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life because I got on stage and I was shaking, I was crying, and I had an 11-year-old girl grab my hands, and I was shaking. I didn't want to go on stage. I thought, people are going to judge me. And I'm thinking, I'm a confident woman. What happened to me? Where did I go? As an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as somebody who's busting their butt in their life, you lose sense of yourself. You lose who you are a little bit. You have to take time away and remember God, family, business. God, family, business. Take care of that first. That will change your life. And it changed mine. And so now this year, I am on my second book of Women Gone Wild, it's called. And it stands for Wealth, Intuition, Leadership, and Diversity. And it's just women entrepreneurs, which I also was able to work with some women veterans coming out of the service. Yes. Yes, everyone give a clap for the veterans. These women were amazing. And the last conference I did is I realized that these women don't have a line that they can actually utilize when they come out and they haven't established credit. So again, teaching about business credit, super important to me. But use your voice, use your talents. Don't let any one person and their, when somebody makes a judgment about you, never ever let that affect you because that's one person's opinion. Don't let that bring you down. Because there's many, many, many other people who do believe in you. 9 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 10 years from undercapitalization because they didn't ask for help. They didn't ask for the right CPAs. They didn't ask for the right type of money. They didn't value, their time. So they went an easy route. There's always going to be a carrot that dangles. But you don't have to grab onto the carrot. You have to educate yourself. And so for the last couple minutes of this speech, I want to take you guys through a quick guided meditation. How many of you in here have ever meditated? Okay. Has anyone ever had a blank mind? I doubt it, right? Okay, so meditation is really, it's an underutilized tool, but because this conference is called The Moment, I think it's so absolutely important that we take a moment and realize that meditation is not about clearing your mind completely. It's about bringing all of the thoughts and stress and chaos into your life that is there and bringing it into your mind and then allowing it to let go. We have an amazing day with so many speakers here today that I want you guys to just take a moment for yourselves. I'm sure a lot of you have kids that you got ready for school, you got here, you have positions, you have deadlines, all of those things. And so if you'll just take a minute, we're going to go ahead and walk through a guided meditation. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you don't have to. So the first thing I want you to do, if you're not choosing to close your eyes, I would like you to just have lazy eyes, and the gaze should be down to the tip of your nose. And I want you to feel yourself in your seat. See how that feels. And just become aware of your breath. See how it slows down when you focus on your breath. Keep the gaze down, and I want you to take an inhale. And I want you to inhale everything that got you here today. Any stressors in your life, any kids running around, any job deadlines, any of those things that were in your life, I want you to inhale that. And as you exhale, I want you to let all of that go. Take one more inhale. And I want you to think about how the ground on the feet, under your feet feel. And I want you to exhale. And the next time you take a breath, I'd like you to say to yourself, I am, and use your name, your full name. I am Kortney Murray. And exhale that out. Take one more breath in and say your name. I am. And then exhale that out. And now I want you to take every single good moment in your life, childhood memories, things that are happening today, the reason you're here at this conference, the speakers you're here for. I want you to inhale all of that goodness. And as you exhale, I want you to relax your shoulders, relax your cheekbones, relax your fingers, your toes. In the next inhale, I'd like you to just say, I am your first name. And exhale that out. One more, I am your first name. And exhale. And the last deep breath I want you to take during this meditation is, I am. You know that every single one of you are. You are all here for yourselves today, and you are all capable of everything. Go ahead and exhale. And as you bring awareness back to the room, you can go ahead and wiggle your toes a little bit and your fingers. And then when you've come to, I'd like everybody to get up and stretch because we have a long day ahead of us. Awesome. Big stretch, guys. Come on. You're not that tired. How much tequila was happening last night? I wanted you all to know that this is just an amazing event. This is an amazing moment. You are all worth it. Every single person here is worth it. And I want to thank you for all of you being here. Thank you.
Go.
Sorry about the PowerPoint.
All right. Hey, let's get a little louder for Kortney with a K, please. All right.